I never thought that Koizumi, who could turn into a glowing sphere, would be so lousy at board games. As Black and White fought for control over the board, Haruhi tied a ponytail with Asahina's hair, loosened it, then tried 2 ponytails, and finally a hair bun. Each time Haruhi touched Asahina, she would tremble all over. Nagato continued indulging in her book. I'm getting more and more confused as to what this gathering is all about. That's right. That day, we conducted our SOS Brigade activities peacefully. Nothing associated with aliens from different dimensions, time travelers from the future, blue giants, or red glowing spheres happened that day. No one wanted to do anything special, nor did anyone know what they should have been doing. We just allowed ourselves to ride on the flow of time, living our high school life idly. Everything seemed perfectly normal. Even though I was dissatisfied with such a normal life, I'd always tell myself, why think so much? You've got so much time. And I would once again look forward to the next day. Even then I was quite happy. I came aimlessly to the clubroom and watched Asahina work hard like a real maid, Nagato sit like a Buddha statue, Koizumi with his bright smile, and Haruhi with her mood swings. All these things gave off an aura of complete normality, yet they had all become a part of my surprisingly satisfying high school life. Although I've had the unreal experiences of a classmate trying to murder me, and seeing a fierce monster appearing in a gray world, I was not certain they were not figments of my imagination, a result of hypnotism, or even some hallucination. I was still pissed at Haruhi for dragging me into her club in the first place, but from a deeper perspective, it was only because of her that I could hang out peacefully with such interesting people every day. Putting aside the question of why me, maybe someday there'd be other normal humans who actually want to join this club. Yeah, I'd been thinking about this problem for some time now. Anyone would have thought about this, right? Yet, I can tell you for certain there is one person who has never thought about it. That's right, that someone is Suzumiya Haruhi. That night, after having dinner and a bath and finishing my revision for tomorrow's English lesson, I looked at the clock and realized it was time for bed. I lay on my bed and opened the thick hardcover book Nagato had stuffed into my arms. I thought a quick read wouldn't hurt, so I decided to casually read through the first few pages. The story was surprisingly interesting, so I continued page after page. You really have to read through one to understand how enjoyable a book can be. Reading's not so bad after all. Yet, it was still impossible to finish in one night, so I put down the book after reading a painfully long monologue by one of the protagonists. Sleep overcame me, and after placing the bookmark with Nagato's handwriting back in the book, I switched off the lights and crept underneath my blanket. In a few minutes, I was in dreamland. Do you know why people dream? Sleep is divided into rapid eye movement, REM, and non-rapid eye movement, NREM, and they switch off in periodic cycles. NREM occurs for the first few hours after a person falls asleep, with the brain in a stasis-like state. The stage in which the body is unconscious while the brain becomes slightly active is known as REM, and dreams will occur in this stage. By morning, REM will have increased in frequency, meaning almost everyone will dream until they wake up. I dream every night, but as I wake up late most days, I'm in such a hurry to get to school that I usually forget what I've dreamed. Yet, sometimes I'll suddenly remember a long-forgotten dream I had years ago. It's really amazing how human memories are structured. Alright, enough with the casual talk. Actually, I don't really give a damn. I felt someone slapping my face. Go away. I'm tired. Don't disturb my dreams.
Yeah.
The alarm clock hadn't even rung yet. Even if it had, I would have turned it off at once.
Yeah.
It was still some time before my mom would send my little sister in.
Wake up already.
No! I want to sleep some more. I don't have time for strange dreams.
I said wake up! Can't you hear me?
The hands around my neck now shook me ceaselessly. I finally opened my eyes when I felt the back of my head hit the hard floor. Wait, hard floor? Haruhi was looking down at me and backed off to avoid bumping our heads together.
You finally awake?
Kneeling beside me was Haruhi in her sailor uniform. Her white face displayed an expression of anxiety.
Do you know where this is?
Of course I do. We're at North High, the school we go to. And right now, we're at the staircase ahead of the shoe lockers by the school entrance. There were no lights on, and the school at night appeared gray before us. No, something's wrong. There was no night sky above us, just a wide gray horizon. There was no moon or stars, not even a single cloud. Only a sky as gray as a concrete wall. The world was covered in silence and darkness. A sealed reality. I slowly got up, but I wasn't in my pajamas. I was in my school uniform.
When I woke up, I found myself here next to you. What's going on? Why are we at school?
Haruhi's voice was abnormally soft. I didn't immediately answer her. I pinched the back of my hand. It didn't feel like a dream. I pulled out 2 hairs. It hurt all right. Haruhi, are we the only ones here right now?
Yeah, I think so. I was supposed to be asleep under my blanket. Why did we appear here? And the sky looks so strange.
Have you seen Koizumi?
No. Why'd you mention him?
Nothing. Just asking. If this sealed reality was created by a quake in the dimensional fault line or by external factors, there ought to be a glowing giant in Koizumi in here. Anyway, we should leave the school grounds. Maybe we'll run into someone elsewhere.
How come you don't look anxious at all?
Oh, I'm pretty anxious all right. Especially seeing you here. Isn't this a playground for the giants you create? Or am I just being oversensitive and dreaming all of this? All alone with Haruhi in an empty reality. If Sigmund Freud were here, he could have analyzed all of this for me. I remained at a distance from Haruhi as we walked towards the school entrance. We were suddenly blocked by an invisible wall. I still remember the elastic feel of this wall. It could be pushed inward a bit, but it was soon blocked by another firmer layer.
What is this?
Haruhi reached her arms out and tried to push this invisible wall, while I walked along the track field and traced its boundaries. It seems we're trapped inside the school. Haruhi, there doesn't seem to be any way out. I couldn't feel any breeze. It was as if even the air had stopped flowing. Let's try the back entrance.
Oh yeah. Is there any way we can contact anyone? Let's look for a phone. I didn't bring my cell phone.
If this was the sealed reality Koizumi told me about, then finding a phone would be useless. Despite that, we still went inside the school to have a look. There should be a phone in the staff room. The school looked creepy in the dark with all the lights off. We passed by the shoe lockers and silently entered the school building. Along the way, we turned on all the lights for the first floor. The ceiling lamps lit up at once. Even though they were cold artificial lights, they were enough to elicit a sigh of relief from both me and Haruhi. After making sure there was no one in the classrooms for that floor, we headed to the staff room. Naturally, the staff room was locked, so I picked up a nearby fire extinguisher, smashed the window open, and we entered through there.
Doesn't seem to work.
She held the phone to her ear, but couldn't hear anything. She tried to dial some numbers, but nothing came of it. We left the staff room, turning on all the lights along the way, and went upstairs, since Haruhi had suggested we return to our classroom. As Class 5 was on the top floor, maybe we could figure out something by looking down from above. Haruhi kept holding my jacket as we walked along the corridor. Don't count on me. I don't have any supernatural powers at all. If you're that scared, then grab onto my arm. It looks more natural that way.
Idiot.
Haruhi scowled at me, but her fingers never let go of my jacket. There were no changes in Class 5. It was just like we left it after school.
Kyon, look!
Haruhi went silent after walking towards the windows. I walked to her side and looked down at the situation. All around was a deep gray world. Looking down from the 4th floor at the top of the hill, I could even see the horizon beyond the shore. It was all darkness within the panorama, not even a single light on. It was like the end of the world.
What is this place?
It wasn't the whole population that had disappeared, just us. We must have stumbled into the sealed reality by accident.
This feels so strange.
As we didn't know where else to go, we returned to the clubroom where we had just spent the afternoon before. Since I already stole the keys from the staff room, we were able to unlock the door and enter. Both of us sighed of relief at returning to a familiar, well-lit room. We turned on the radio but couldn't even hear any static. The clubroom was so quiet that only the sound of me pouring the tea could be heard. I'm not all that interested in changing tea leaves, so I brewed the tea using the overused ones. Haruhi stood beside me, gazing vividly at the gray world outside. Do you want some tea?
No thanks.
I took my teacup, pulled out a chair, and sat down. I took a sip. Asahina's tea is so much better than this.
Just what's going on here? I don't get it. What is this place? Why am I here?
Haruhi stood by the window and faced outside. Her silhouette looked so frail.
And why am I with you of all people?
How the hell should I know? Haruhi just flicked her hair and scowled at my response.
I'm going outside to have a look.
She rushed out of the room, just as I was about to stand up as well.
You stay here. I'll be right back.
Typical Haruhi. While listening to Haruhi's energetic footsteps disappearing and sipping my warm, tasteless tea, something appeared. It was a small, glowing red sphere. At first, it was the size of a ping-pong ball. It grew slowly, shining like a firefly, before finally taking on a humanoid shape. Koizumi, is that you? Before me was a glowing humanoid, but I couldn't make out its face.
Hi there.
Took you long enough to show up. I thought you would come in your human form.
Things are getting a bit complicated on this side, so it's going to take some time to explain. I'll be honest, this is what we'd call an emergency situation.
His red light flickered a bit.
If it were a normal sealed reality, I could have entered easily, but not this time. I had to appear in this incomplete form, and as I needed some help from my companions before I could finally enter here, I can't even remain in this state for too long. Our powers are disappearing slowly, even as we speak.
Just what's going on? Is it just me and Haruhi in here?
Yes. This means what we feared is finally happening. Suzumiya-san has grown tired of this reality, and she has decided to create a new one. Our superiors are now in total panic. No one knows what will become of this world when its god has disappeared. While it's possible the world will still survive as long as Suzumiya-san decides to have mercy upon it, it's also possible that it will vanish at any moment.
What are you trying to say?
To put it simply, you and Suzumiya-san have now completely disappeared from our world. This is not a sealed reality, but rather a brand new reality created by Suzumiya-san. The sealed realities we've seen before were probably just practice. She has decided to recreate the world for real.
Yeah, funny joke, Koizumi, but I don't feel much like laughing right now.
I'm not joking. This world is probably closest to the world which Suzumiya-san desires. We're still not sure what kind of world that is, but we should have an answer to that soon.
Let's leave that aside for now. The real problem is, why am I here?
Do you really not know? You are the person chosen by Suzumiya-san. You are the only person in our world that Suzumiya-san truly wants to be with. I thought you'd have figured that out by now.
The light around Koizumi now glimmered like a flashlight running out of batteries, its brightness clearly diminishing.
I'm close to my limit now. At this rate, I'll never be able to see you again. On the other hand, though, I'm kind of relieved since I'll no longer have to go hunting those avatars.
Do I have to live alone with Haruhi forever in this gray world?
In this world, you're like Adam and Eve. Just work hard on repopulating the world and it'll be fine.
I am so gonna beat the crap out of you.
I'm only joking. Right now, this sealed state is probably only temporary. Very soon it'll become similar to the world you know. Yet this world will be different from the one we're from. As of right now, this could be considered the real world, while the original reality ought to be considered a sealed reality. As for what differences there are between these two, unfortunately, we do not know. If I'm fortunate enough to be reborn in the new reality, I'm counting on you to show me around.
At that moment, Koizumi, the glowing humanoid object, began to slowly disintegrate and then, like a star running out of fuel, shrank to its original ping-pong ball size. Is it impossible for us to return to the original world?
As long as Suzumiya Haruhi wishes for it, it might still be possible. I only knew you for a short while. It's a pity, really, but I did enjoy my time with the SOS Brigade. Ah yes, I nearly forgot. I have to relay both Asahina Mikuru and Nagato Yuki's messages to you.
Before Koizumi disappeared completely, he left this message.
Asahina Mikuru asked me to apologize in her stead. She said, "I'm sorry, it's all my fault." Also, Nagato Yuki tells you, "Remember to turn on the computer."
After the message, he vanished like a candle flame being blown out by the wind.